Hey, this is Liz Bentley, and today I wanted to talk about managing your emotions in difficult conversations. Does this sound familiar? A lot of people have been in a lot of difficult conversations lately, and learning how to manage your emotions so that you can drive effective outcomes is really, really important and sometimes extremely hard to do. So right now, I see people in a lot of tense conversations. Now, just to be clear, we always have an opportunity to have tense conversations, whether it's at work or in our families or wherever. But right now, with the election and the pandemic and all of the stuff that people are facing, not to mention all the stress they're going through, I am seeing people in really tense conversations and struggling. And the two ways I really see people struggle is they either get ignited and explode and just become, really aggressive or, abusive even, or just really go crazy. Or I see them shut down and just go completely quiet and incapable of communicating and just drop out of the conversation completely. And both of those responses make people feel really empty and make them feel bad and make them feel unresolved. Like either the voice isn't being heard or they're so out of control that their voice isn't being heard because they're too upset. So, ultimately we want to be heard and we want things that we really feel compelled over to be listened to and understood more than anything because we are so upset about them and we do feel like they have so much importance. So let's talk a little bit about why I think this happens and where this is coming from. Usually when something, upsets you that much inside your body, no matter what the topic is, it's often because you're triggered. Okay. That means it's something from your past is triggering this extreme emotion. And the trigger is either what I call a direct hit or an indirect hit. And I'll explain what that means. So I'm going to make up an example. Let's pretend you are extremely upset about a sexist act. Okay. A sexist act happens and you are talking about it and the other side of the party doesn't understand what you're saying and you are extremely upset and triggered. So a direct trigger means somewhere in your past, you had to deal with sexism that was very painful to you and you are really upset, still really upset about it. So that's a direct hit. That's something that you directly experienced and it was very hurtful to you. Okay. An indirect hit means that you might not have experienced sexism at all, but maybe you experienced poor treatment, unfair treatment that made you feel small and insignificant, and it was unfair. So the trigger is indirect. It's unfairness. It has nothing to do with sexism, but it has to do with feelings of unfairness. Okay? Either way, whatever the topic is that you are so upset about right now, it is important and it does matter to you and it might be important in this whole lifetime. But the reason you are so upset is because of something else from your past that you have to deal with. So let's talk about how to work through this and let's go through the tips. The number one tip is that you have to identify the trigger. What is the trigger? Where is it coming from? Is it direct? Is it indirect? What is this really all about? You've got to go back into your life and figure out, why am I getting so upset? Okay, that's number one. Number two, you have to heal that trigger. I can't talk enough about healing triggers. When you heal that trigger, I can promise you, you'll be able to talk about this with no problem in your lifetime whatsoever. Okay. Number three, when you're in that moment, take a break. Step back and just take a break. Compose yourself. Breathe deep. Pull yourself together. Recognize whatever is that's upsetting you is not just from this topic, it's from somewhere else as well. And try to speak. Don't shut down so that you can be heard and don't explode. Okay, and last is don't be afraid. Okay, we all have triggers. We all have stuff that really upsets us. And it's okay to get in there and heal those triggers. It's so important. So don't be afraid to look at yourself and look in the mirror and see your truth. Okay, thanks for joining our Tuesday tip, and we'll be back next week.